The State of the Nation with Zororo Makamba.
Have you ever tried to get your friends talking about climate change? Have you posted something about climate change on your social media? When you said that this was an important issue, what did your friends say? I bet you had stuff like this. This is not a bread and butter issue. We have more pressing issues to worry about. This is stuff for the West to care about. Is climate change something that we treat urgent in Zimbabwe? Maybe it's something that we just see on the TV. It's like it's happening somewhere else, halfway around the world. The reality is this: climate change is real. It affects you directly. And yes, it is a bread and butter issue. Let's talk more about it on this week's State of the Nation. Look around you. The weather is changing. The summers are getting hotter. The winters are getting shorter. And they're getting warmer. And the most damaging effect of it all, we're getting less and less rain. Yes, we've always had droughts, but the experts are telling us that we're going to have more of them in the coming years. Here in Zimbabwe, we know what it means when we have a drought. We are directly affected. This year, we had a very bad drought. According to the experts, this is the least amount of rain we have received in about 4 decades. We're going to harvest our smallest crop in many years. This means prices are going to get higher and a lot more people are going to need some help. According to the UN, at least 5.7 million Zimbabweans are in need of food aid. That's a lot of people. We've seen the impact of climate change even on power supply. Because we rely too much on Kariba, which relies on the rain, we have not been able to generate enough power this year. And we all saw what happened in March. Cyclone Idai hit the east of the country. Thousands of our people died. Houses were destroyed. Billions of dollars worth of infrastructure was lost. We know cyclones would happen, but nobody was prepared for how bad it would be. And that's the question. If we agree that climate change is real, have we prepared enough for it? The forecasters say that we might have more droughts. They say that we might even have more cyclones like Idai. But what are we doing about it? Will we just sit around and wait for donors? Or will we pray about it? We need to see action. In his last State of the Nation address, the president said climate change was real and we have to prepare. At the UN General Assembly this year in New York, this is what he said: "Climate change presents a threat to all of humanity and it respects no borders." So what are we doing? First, the priority has to be on food security. We need to use our expertise better. Did you know that we have world-class skills in terms of crop science? Our seed varieties are on demand all across Africa. We need to invest more in research into seed, and we need a larger budget for this. There's no push by the government to promote the growing of traditional small grains. These are more resistant to drought, but it'll need a real culture change. And that's where we need our government to invest more in education. You can't fight climate change without information. How prepared is our Met Department? Have you seen the technology they use? It's from decades ago. We have to invest more in this. Because we have less rain, we must get more serious about irrigation. The good news is that we have recently completed 2 new dams. Tugwi is one of them. But we have been slow to implement the irrigation plan there. This needs to be sped up. In the 2019 budget, the finance minister set aside $60 million for the rehabilitation of machinery on our farms. That's a good start. We need to invest more in that area. But let's also stop selling our wetlands. Let's stop building on top of them too. Let's plant more trees, let's invest in information. Let's keep rebuilding our irrigation. There's little that we can do to control the weather, but there's a lot more in our control to lessen the impact. And yes, let's talk about climate change more, as it is a bread and butter issue. Zimbabwe is at least 20 years behind other countries. That's what President Mnangagwa has said. He was talking about our infrastructure. We've had bad roads and bridges. We have not built enough dams for many years. We have a power crisis because our power stations are too old. For close to 40 years, we did not invest enough in our infrastructure. We allowed it to decay, and as a result, look around us. We're behind a lot of our neighbors in terms of roads and other infrastructure. This is why this must now get the priority that it deserves. In the past, our budget was dominated by recurrent expenditure. These are things like salaries. We didn't spend much on infrastructure. This changed a bit in the current budget. The Minister of Finance has set aside 2.5 billion Zimbabwean dollars for infrastructure. It's not a lot, but what's important is this: it is 35.4% of the total capital development budget. In simple terms, a larger share of the budget is now going towards rebuilding our infrastructure. Soon the government will also issue an infrastructure bond. We are borrowing to build infrastructure, not for spending. What exactly needs to be done? It's a lot. Let's take a look at the job at hand and some of the progress so far. First, let's talk dams. Zimbabwe has a real shortage of dams. We haven't built enough of them. Now, Maronyati Dam in Buhera has just been completed. Buhera is a dry area. The new dam will irrigate over 1,250 hectares of already identified land. The Tugwi Mukosi Dam in Masvingo is the largest inland dam in the country. It will water around 25,000 hectares of land. We need to speed up the irrigation plan there though. We have the Shangani Dam also in progress. But let's talk about roads. It's a big issue for many of us. Finally, after many delays, 5 local companies will start working on the Bite Bridge Road. It's been in bad shape for far too long. In Bite Bridge itself, there's work being done there to expand the border post. We all know how crowded that place can be. This will make sure that there's more efficiency. A lot of times we forget how important the rural roads are to the economy. DDF and the Ministry of Transport are expanding the works program by repairing roads and bridges. There's also progress on the power supply side. 2 new power plants are being built at HWANGE. It's a long-term project. When it's done, we'll have an extra 600 megawatts. General Electric has just been signed up to start developing the Batoka project. That's also a long-term project, but it must be done. There's also work being done on our airports. After the Joshua Nkomo Airport and the Vigforce Airport, there's now expansion work at the RG Mugabe Airport here in Harare. Is all this enough? Maybe not, but we really need a lot more if we're to catch up with the rest of the region. In Russia recently, ED said that Zimbabwe has the worst transport infrastructure in the region. There's a link between a country's infrastructure and its economy. The two go hand in hand. It's good to see the urgency now on infrastructure. What Zimbabweans want to see now is more action, because we have a lot of catching up to do.